I think just to reiterate some of our few thoughts from Thursday night, it was a good November win and a tough Pac-10 game. I thought our defense really played a nice football game, not only in the run game but in the pass game. I thought our special teams might have had one of their better games of the year, and I thought offensively in the run game, probably our best day running the football against a very good defense. And in a perfect world, we throw the football better, and maybe the outcome's even different than it was. But all in all, we'll take that win and on to the next one. We've got an extremely tough opponent in the California Golden Bears, and the last game of Memorial Stadium, Senior Day, all of the things that go along with that. In a ball game, that's a must-win game for both teams. And so it shapes up exciting for both programs and the people involved, but it also shapes up for an exciting ball game within the Pac-10 of the implications of not only the bowl games but standings and all of those things.
We'll take questions from guys on the phone line. Why don't we start with Bob Condota, please?
Yeah, well, Sark, you kind of mentioned it there. How important would it be for you guys to get to a bowl game this year?
Where are you at, Bob? You can't make it? A little snow and you stuck at home or what, man?
The hill I lived on was going to be kind of treacherous.
Okay, I forgive you. I think it would be great. The bowl game would be great for a lot of reasons. Let's not kid ourselves here. I think from the first standpoint from our seniors, for 4 to 5 years of adversity, to give them that opportunity to be in a hotel room and for Christmas and to be at a bowl game and to get bowl gifts and all of those things that entails. I think it's important, one, for that. Two, I think it's important for our young players to continue to develop them, to get the extra practices, to get them exposed to that. And then three, from a program's perspective, the natural growth is there. Whether or not that means we're getting better or not, I think it just feels that way. And to play a 13th game would be great for the program's sake. And then I think lastly, for our fans, to give them that opportunity to travel to a bowl game to support their team. I think they would greatly appreciate that as well.
I had two others. All right. One, I don't know if you saw Rick Neuheisel he wasn't sure that Nate Williams' hit the other day was legal and he might contact the Pac-10. I was just wondering what you thought of that hit and play.
Oh, it wasn't legal. That's why he got flagged for it. Nate didn't intend to go helmet to helmet with Richard. He made an attempt to make the play. He had already started his tackle before the slide began to occur. And really, ultimately, I think it was more of a targeting of the head with his forearm than it really was, helmet to helmet in a sense. And so it's unfortunate. I think that's why when quarterbacks decide to slide, they really need to make that decision early. If not, that sometimes they're almost better off diving than they are sliding.
Hey, just any change to the injury situation at all?
The only real change is, we're going to have to monitor Ryan Tolar. He'll be day-to-day with a sprained knee. That's the real kind of injury update that would matter. And, I think on the Jake front, he came out of the game healthy. He should only get more healthy as we progress throughout this week, especially with a little extended time off there over the weekend. So, again, we'll have to monitor him daily as well.
And Sean Parker, he didn't play the other day, right?
No, he just didn't get the strength back in his shoulder that we wanted to. He'll be another guy that we'll monitor daily, but we were very encouraged last night at practice. He was out running around, so we were encouraged by that.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything from Todd Millis?
Yeah, hey, Steve.
Hey, Todd.
Hey, I just had a general question about the quarterback. I think Matt Barkley got hurt. I think that kind of makes the seventh school in the Pac-10 to lose a starting quarterback for some time. I'm wondering, how do you monitor that? How much do you care about that? Is there anything to be taken from that or to be done about that or focus on in the offseason?
I don't know. I think there's a variety of injuries that have occurred, first of all. Whether it's from ankles to knees to concussions to broken ribs to, a lot of things have occurred for different players. And so, I think it's somewhat coincidental that this happens to be that way this year. I think it speaks volumes to how important backup quarterbacks are. But I don't think there's something that directly points to this is why guys are getting injured, or if there's targeting on quarterbacks or anything of that nature. I think it just happens to be coincidental.
Thanks, Sark.
Yep.
Anything else from anybody on the conference line? All right, we'll take questions from the folks who are here in person.
Steve, how do you feel about moving the students, this plan to move the students from midfield into the end zone?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm worried about Cal, to be honest with you, and Shane Vereen and Cameron Jordan and those guys. I don't know.
You guys, last year, you obviously were playing your best football by the end of the year. Won the last 2 games. Any signs that maybe that could happen again here? And
I hope. I hope we can continue on this trend of. I thought last year at the end of the year our defense played its best football for sure, and I thought offensively at the end of the year we ran the ball better than we had all year. And those two things came to light again Thursday night versus UCLA. I'd like for that trend to continue, and we'll play to that because I think that's the way you win in November, is that you're able to run the ball and you're able to play defense. So that'll be a big factor in our final 2 ball games. It's definitely going to be a big part of it this week. Cal's a team that really excels at running the football and has for years, and it's no different this year with Shane Vereen and Safeli. That they do a nice job of running the football, not only scheme wise, but with the talent that they have. And so the first part for us is that ability to stop the run, to play good defense, and then in turn to keep them off the field by running the ball, taking care of the clock, and ultimately doing better on 3rd down. And if we're really going to play the way we want to play and close out this year, our ability to extend drives has got to get better. And we've been awful at it. I think we were 1 for 12 last week. That puts us, I believe, 5 for our last 39 on 3rd down, which is a terrible stat. And for us to keep this trend going of playing good defense, running the football, and getting better as we close the year, that's the one area that's got to improve here this week. It's got to improve right now.
Chris Polk kind of makes his own goals sometimes, Coach, but was there something that changed in the UCLA game? Just the line executing better? Was there a reason the run game worked?
I thought we did some things schematically to create some more space. A little bit of a misdirection factor there. With Jesse and DeAndre, which I thought helped to create some air and some space for Chris. And I thought Chris really did a nice job of taking advantage of it and not, sometimes what happens to backs when there's not big holes all the time, they have a tendency to stop to create their space. And then all of a sudden a hole opens up and they're still stopping, waiting to create their space. I thought last week Chris didn't do that. When holes were there, he hit it, and he hit it hard, he hit it fast, and that's how he was able to create some big runs. And unfortunately, he had the long one called back, but all in all, he ran well all night.
And if you could compare the UCLA front to Cal, what they do and how different or same they are.
Well, Cal's a predominantly a 3-4 team that plays multiple fronts, but has definitely some 4-down front thoughts to it, where UCLA is more of a 4-down oriented team. I think from a stature and a personnel standpoint, they're very, very similar. Both fronts are big and powerful, long guys, long arms, that like to play with their hands. So in that aspect of it, they're very similar personnel-wise. Scheme-wise, they're a little bit different. But I think we've got some things there that we could take advantage of to make sure that we can continue to run the football effectively.
Considering the number of bowl games there are now and the number of teams that go every year, is getting to a bowl game become less valued in the last decade?
Not to me. I want to get there. I think that it's a real reward for your hard work and your efforts to not only your kids and your players, but everybody involved in your program, whether it's the training staff or the academic support people, the administration. There's so much time and effort that gets put into this season to reward them with that game. I think is pretty special. So it hasn't lost its excitement for us. That's for sure.
If you had a Heisman vote, who would you give it to at this point?
I don't want to overlook anybody, so I'm just making sure I don't miss anybody here. Without knowing all the details of the situation, of all of, I haven't been able to follow it. Based on a guy just playing and having an opportunity to watch him play, I'd have a hard time voting against Cam Newton, just because I think I've seen him 3 or 4 times, and he's a dominant football player, that's for sure.
If you and Cal have something in common, it's that you've had some big wins and then some frustrating losses. Do you A, know what to expect out of your team Saturday, and B, know what to expect out of them?
Oh, I think it's going to be a very hard-fought ball game. It really, both teams are kind of backed into a wall in a sense. We're fighting for our football lives, and when that happens, there's a lot of emotion involved. There's tremendous effort involved. I think one thing you have to try to fight against is not trying too hard. I think both teams are going to be extremely fired up for this game. I expect us to play with great effort and great passion, ultimately for us to execute really well. And I would expect the same out of them. I think that's why this shapes up to be a very good football game.
Would you prefer to see Cal win the game this last weekend so that they wouldn't need to win against you for the bowl game?
I don't think like that. No, I think either way, Cal was going to come to play versus us. It's the last game at Memorial Stadium. It's senior day. I don't think like that. The way I view it is, really good teams and good coaches, regardless of what happens, they prepare for the task at hand, and I'm sure Coach Tedford and his staff are doing that.
Based on how they played against Oregon, were you surprised by what Stanford was able to do to Cal?
No, it's 2 completely different teams, 2 completely different styles. Oregon is obviously a spread-out-oriented team, a shotgun-oriented team. Stanford is a more power-oriented team, a lot of tight ends, power football in a sense. And so 2 completely different styles. Now, was I surprised that that's how the game went? Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it'd be a much tighter ball game, but I'm not surprised based on what happened in Oregon.
So is the game plan similar to what you had against UCLA, because Brock Mansion, has problems throwing the football?
It'll be in a lot of aspects similar. I think Cal's real ability to throw the ball, their willingness to throw the ball is a little bit different than UCLA's. They're going to attack you. They're still going to attack you down the field. And there's a lot more variety in Cal's run game. UCLA's run game is, in a sense, outside of their formations, which can be difficult. The run game itself is a little bit more simplified, where Cal's got a gamut of run plays. And you better, 1, line up to their formations, but 2, you've got to fit their run plays. And so you've got to be careful trying to do too much on defense against Cal, because you can get exploited if a certain run gets called.
You mentioned all the pluses to bowl games. Do you remind your guys of that, or is that just out there knowing?
No, like we talked about a week ago, obviously the goal is to win 3 games, but you can't win all 3 until you win the first one. Well, the only thing that changes this week, we want to win these final 2 games to get to the bowl game, but we can't do that until we play Cal and hopefully beat Cal. And then we get to play Washington State. And then when that's done, then we can remind and talk about what a bowl game is. But until then, trying to minimize all the peripheral stuff, and let's focus on the task at hand, and that's the Cal Bears.
Steve, the first 2.5 quarters at Oregon and last week against UCL, your defense probably played the best it has all year. What has changed over those 2 weeks to allow that to happen, that to play at the level they have the last couple of weeks?
Well, I thought we had some spurts in the middle of the year too. Quite honestly, most notably Oregon State. I thought our guys had some real nice quarters in there as well. I think a couple things have happened. One, we're much more stout up front with our 4 guys. We're able to hang in there against the run, and our gap integrity is much better. And then 2, I think our level of play in the secondary has slowly but surely increased and gotten better and better and better. Most notably, I think Quentin Richardson has really had his best 2 ball games the last 2 games. I thought Desmond Trufant had a nice game the other night. Nate Fellner has raised his level of play. And Nate Williams is being Nate Williams. He's making a bunch of tackles. So I think it's twofold. One, up front, our defensive line is playing more stout against the run. But two, in the back end, we're covering guys better, we're tackling better, we're around the ball more, creating turnovers.
With Jake, so has he had any more X-rays or where?
They're taking one today, was what I was notified of. Just to get an idea.
Any big hits in the game? Or
I
was there
don't think so. You know, he had the one run on the third down on their sideline where he kind of broke a couple tackles, but there were no real direct shots on it, and he came out of it feeling pretty good. But we'll get an assessment of exactly where it's at with the X-ray, and then again we'll monitor him. You know, I'm anticipating that he'll play unless there's some sort of setback along the way.
How much are Jake's injuries affecting his accuracy in throwing?
I think it has a real effect. You know, whether it's a direct effect on the feeling that you have when you throw, that there can be an effect on, you know, we're all human, and if we have pain, if I've got a hurt arm right here, I really don't want you to hit it, and so you can move your body in a certain way to try to avoid hits or feeling a sense of hits. So I think part of that is there. So the more healthy he gets, the more comfortable he feels with the rib and the injury, I think the more comfortable he'll be in the pocket, and ultimately his feet will be better, his decision making will be better, and his accuracy will be better.
He practiced last night though?
Yes.
Everything?
Yeah, he looked fine.
Through 10 games this season, do you think this team has developed any kind of identity?
We're tough, that's for sure. You know, we may not always appear it, but we're a tough team. There's no doubt. We're a mentally and physically tough team.
You practicing indoors or out today?
Well, I'm hoping to go outside, but we're watching the wind. You know, the wind is supposed to pick up this afternoon to roughly 40 to 50 miles an hour. If that's the case, we'll go inside. But if the winds are down, we'll be outside.
Could be Apple Cup like.
Yeah, it could be.
Beyond the defense, does it feel like the last two games, I mean, the beginning of the Oregon game and the UCLA game, does it feel like this team has kind of turned a corner and is maybe starting to flatten out in terms of the roller coaster, you know, the back and forth?
I hope so. You know, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that as seasons grow, you know, as a coach, you want to see your team get better and not have the roller coaster effect. You want to see them kind of on that steady increase or incline of play. And I think that we have shown that. We've had some dips, but hopefully these final two ball games we can continue to get better and better. Because if we do that, we give ourselves a great chance to succeed and win ball games.
As a Pac-10 coach, do you hope that Oregon plays in the national championship game?
I don't know if I'm hoping for that, but I think it would be good for our conference to have a representative in that game. This is a tremendous conference, one that, as we've touched on, there's a great deal of parity. And if Oregon is good enough to come out of this conference undefeated, and if they do, deserving to play in that ball game, I think it's great for our conference because as we know it's tough. It's tough to go week in and week out versus the level of competition that we go against, not only from a skill set of the types of players in this conference, but the coaching in this conference, which I believe is second to none. If Oregon's able to do that, I think it's great for our conference.
Are the black jerseys going to be back next year?
Maybe.
But you said you weren't necessarily hoping that Oregon would do it.
No, I'm not necessarily hoping for them, no. But I think if they do make it, it's great for the Pac-10.
Back to the black jerseys, do you think it made an impact on the game?
I think emotionally sometimes when you have a change-up like that, it's exciting for the players. You know, I think it was a great gift to our seniors on the way out the door. I thought our students were tremendous Thursday night, all of our fans. So it was a fun theme to do. I thought it came off not only great in our own community, but around the country, national television. The response has been tremendous. The atmosphere, the stadium was rocking on television. The uniforms look good. So I think all in all it was a success.
One of the more pleasant surprises, I guess, last week and this year has been Kyle Rasp. How surprising has he been based on where you got him and you pretty much pulled him on?
Probably the biggest surprise of the season. Kyle wasn't planning on playing football this fall. We had him join us midway through training camp, and then obviously with the injury to Will, he was pressed into action and has been by far and away our biggest surprise. He's performed masterfully. I mean, he's just been on point, directionally punting, hang time, get off. So hopefully we can continue that the last 2 ball games. He's got a great attitude towards it. He's very carefree approach, not a lot of concerns, does his job, and has fun doing it.
What put him back in you or your coach's minds in August?
When you go into training camp, you never really want to be there where you don't have 2 legs to kick and 2 legs to punt at minimum, just because you don't want to wear out your starter. And we thought we had a walk-on kid joining us that could really help us, and it didn't pan out that way. So we knew we had already had Kyle. We knew what he was capable of doing, and so we brought him back, and it's worked out great for everybody.
You want to just start with how you're feeling health-wise and how the rib's doing?
Oh yeah, I feel really good. I felt good after the game, and was able to go out and do everything at practice yesterday, and so yeah, I feel really good with how they're progressing.
How helpful was the mini bye to have 2 days and not play a game on Sunday?
I think that for a lot of guys will make a big difference. It just gives you another day to kind of let your body recover and get ready and prepared for this next week. Gives yourself another full day off without anything to kind of just hang out and let your body heal up a little bit.
Sark was pretty open about not wanting to put you at too much risk in that game. Do you think maybe this week will be different? Maybe you'll be doing more things in terms of?
It's like I tell you guys every week, the game plan for us and what was working for us was a lot of our 2-back runs and seal run type stuff, and we were really successful with it. And I think we stuck with it, and we'll find what's working for us this week and do that and try and be as effective at that as we can this Saturday in the game. So whether that's running the ball more, doing exactly what we did. I couldn't tell you right now. We haven't really gotten into the game plan stuff yet, but I expect to be pretty similar to what we did last year, because we were able to have success against them, and obviously always carry a few different wrinkles and schemes and ideas into the game.
Do you think the ribs are affecting your accuracy on Thursday night?
No.
Were there any parameters for the zone reads and stuff to where you weren't going to run the ball as much, you were going to give it off a lot of the time or anything, or was it pretty much just read?
No, they did a pretty good job of there was always seemed like there was a guy that was responsible for that aspect of our offense, and but at the same time I think it allowed our running backs really to have a big day on the ground.
So how much fun did you have Thursday night?
It was awesome to win a game like that in that fashion. As the last one here, it was awesome to go out that way, to have that kind of memory, and to keep the hopes of what we all thought was possible at the beginning of the year alive. And that's what it is, and that's what it'll be this weekend as well.
How motivated are you personally by the bowl game and all the trappings that come with it, and even if it's extra practice or being away for the holidays and all that?
Like I've told you guys, it's one of the big reasons I chose to come back is to have the opportunity to do that, play in an extra game and go hang out somewhere for a week with the team and do some fun things, whatever the bowl has for you, and just enjoy that experience for a week. So it's obviously means a lot to me. But like Coach just told us, and I think it's very true. You can't win both without winning the first, and so you can't get ahead of yourself, and you do have to focus on what's in front of you, and that's the Cal Bears at this point.
Do you guys think back to last year? I mean, you guys beat Washington State and Cal so handily. Do you think back that that's all it's going to take this year to get to a bowl game? Is beat those two?
No. I think if you watch the Pac-10 week in and week out, it's crazy. You never know what's going to happen, and teams that had a bad week before come back and play really well the next week and beat a team that they're not at all expected to beat. And so I think that every week, especially in this league this year, you have to show up to play because you don't know who you're going to get on the other side. And they're a very talented football team. They played some really good football. I think, they played arguably the best team in the country within 2 points to the end of the game. Held them to 15 points offensively, which, against that football team is amazing when you look at what they've done against other teams. And so I think that they're a very talented football team, well-coached football team, and a team that has a lot to play for this Saturday, and we need to prepare and be ready to go into a fight.
Your coach keeps talking about it being playoff time. You growing the playoff beard, or?
No, I don't know. I just haven't shaved in a while, I guess. A little colder to keep myself warm.
Does Cal? You talk about the teams in the Pac-10 one week to the next they're different. Is Cal sort of the poster child for that? I mean, they've been so good and then can get beaten badly the next week.
I think, like I said, you can look at a lot of teams in the Pac-10 and that's kind of what's happened to them this year. We've had it. We've played really, really well certain weeks and had weeks where we didn't play well at all. And, like I said, I don't think it speaks to their talent or their coaching staff. I think there's just an inconsistency right now with some football teams, and that's something that the teams that are going to find themselves in a bowl game at the end of the year are going to play consistently throughout this last 3-4 game stretch.